Greetings. Thank you for joining me today where I will be discussing the book Scholomance, Order of the Dragon. I was gifted a copy of this grimoire by author N.D Blackwood. And I have to admit that as I was reading the grimoire, I was really impressed with the information. I was actually so impressed and blown away by it that I couldn't wait to come out of the shadows and share this work with you all. To my knowledge, there is no other grimoire like this one in publication today. I know it has been some time since I have created a video, and as such, I am thinking this video might be a little bit long. So rather than breaking it up into 2 or 3 different pieces, depending on how long I ramble, I decided I'm just going to keep it in one video, and if it gets long, I'll just leave timestamps in the description below so you can skip ahead or skip back and forth to areas that may be of interest to you. So I'm going to begin by giving my thoughts on the grimoire. Then I will be sharing a little Q&A that I had with N.D Blackwood with some follow-up questions. And then lastly, I am going to be performing a ritual from the grimoire, Evocation of the Great Dragon. First, I want to say that I am so delighted that my colleague N.D Blackwood decided to share with us all the complete inner teachings of esoteric green order, heir to the Order of the Dragon. What he shares in this grimoire is not watered down in any way. In this grimoire, you will find everything that you need for your path of deification. After all, what is the path of vampirism, if not the ultimate path of deification? This grimoire provides readers with an invaluable opportunity to have access to the hidden and most secret teachings of the Dracul, the body of black light, and the ever so important vampiric chain of immortality, and so much more. And for those who may be wondering, Scholomance is a secret black school that is said to be founded and ruled by the devil himself. Only 10 students are permitted at a time, after which they learn the secrets of nature, the language of the animals, and the most powerful methods of spellcasting. After the course is done, it is rumored that the 10th pupil remains with the devil. This book is written for the serious practitioner who wants to progress along the path of self-excellence and self-deification. Scholomance introduces us to the classical European path of vampirism as it was practiced by our forefathers and foremothers. Now, initiation will only be offered at the hands of the undead masters themselves. And in return, the vampire will receive the memories, the wisdom, the teachings of the masters that they are linked to within that vampiric family or hive or whatever you want to call it. And also, ultimately, be able to survive physical death and live on in the astral plane as a dark deity. It is important to keep in mind that with these workings, as with all workings in black magic, specifically with vampirism, that caution for those who are not ready, okay, or if it's not the best time in your life to be doing such a thing. Scholomance, the Order of the Dragon, consists of 3 individual books that have been combined together into one master grimoire. N.D Blackwood held nothing back. In this grimoire, there's everything that you need to embark on your journey to self-excellence and immortality. Let's look at what's in the book briefly.
Throughout the whole vast shadowy world of ghosts and demons, there is no figure so terrible, no figure so dreaded and abhorred, yet dight with such fearful fascination as the vampire, who is himself neither ghost nor demon, but yet who partakes in the dark natures and possesses the mysterious and terrible qualities of the book.
So here we see the contents. In the first part, N.D Blackwood gives detailed information as to what a vampire is and discusses some of the vampiric lore surrounding various myths. Then there is a discussion on the commonalities that are generally found throughout the various myths. In the next section, N.D Blackwood discusses the drain of blood essence. As we all know, vampirism is highly associated with blood and feeding off of it in order to prolong the vampire's existence. And this is, reflected in a variety of myths surrounding the vampire. However, it is important to note, and it is noted and explained extensively in this chapter and throughout this grimoire, that blood is to be understood as only being a vehicle of the very substance of life, which is the invisible energy that is known in India as prana and in China as qi. Therefore, it is important to know that this type of vampirism has nothing to do with consuming blood. It is not extracting the physical, but rather the energetics of it. So when we refer to a vampire feeding off of their prey, they are feeding on the vital essence, this energy that is carried throughout the body with the blood as a vehicle, but it is important to remember that it is the energy that is being drained, and this does not happen on a physical level. This is the same energy that is present in all things in this universe, each having its own vibrational frequency and qualities. N.D Blackwood further goes into the different forms of energy and how to obtain these energies from different sources to prolong your own life, how to maintain a state of equilibrium and balance within the body for optimal health. The next portion discusses the bodies that do not decompose. This is a very detailed and interesting discussion surrounding the preservation of bodies. It is often believed that this step is very important for beings that want to maintain their consciousness after physical death close to this material plane. And the physical bodies, act as anchors on the earthly plane. There's also some stories and examples given here throughout history in some alleged cases of vampirism where bodies were very well preserved, either intentionally or by reasons that are a mystery. Next is the discussion of the body of black light. This is such an important aspect of vampirism, and this is where the adept spends a lot of time formulating this vehicle, this body of black light, as this vehicle is what is intended to become the home of the consciousness when the vampire leaves their physical body and will live on in their body of black light as a dark deity in the astral plane. Next is the vampiric traditions. And N.D Blackwood really does a great job in summarizing the key elements in the different traditions of vampirism that are out there. And then there is a discussion on the Order of the Dragon that leads into the history and the foundational practices and things like that of the Green Order, the ever so important vampiric chain of immortality. There's a discussion on the Dracul historically and how it is all interconnected and interwoven with the the Order of the Dragon and the Green Order and the relevance to the practitioner today. Next is the Weapons of Power, which is a detailed description on implements that are suggested for use and are ideal to have, and how to empower them and dedicate them to your vampiric path. The Great Dragon, Elementary Principles of Evocation, Evocation of the Great Dragon, the Blood Prayer. And actually, at the end of this video, when I'm bringing it to a close, I will be sharing with you a recording of one of the instances where I am doing this ritual. Next is the discussion of the drain of blood essence. And, the methods that are described in here are very thorough and detailed and will really empower the new and perhaps even a vampire that has been practicing for some time. It will really add to that skill set and provide you with some new methodologies of extracting the vital essence from other humans that you may have not been familiar with before. Out of body experience, very important. And, after that is the ritual of Hecate, which is directly related to out-of-body experience. It's a ritual to empower. Vampire Mirror is something that is really interesting and a magnificent and powerful tool for the practitioner. The next is the rite of burial, which is really, really interesting. It's a good way to rejuvenate, replenish, balance, and engage with those forces of the earth. Then next is receiving the dark gift and the entering of the vampiric chain. So I'm just going to list these off a little bit quicker because there is so much in this grimoire. It's really impressive. So rituals for awakening, the awakening of demonic powers, the strigoi, extraction of blood essence after receiving the dark gift, vampirism through fascination, vampirism through sexual contact, astral vampirism, feeding the body of black light, feeding in your daily life, the solstice, sorcery in the path of the dragon, the black fire, the black mirror, ritual to receive your familiar spirit, ritual to regenerate yourself, the bloodstone ring, ritual to travel out of body, ritual to unleash storms, ritual to materialize wealth, break out of imprisonment, martial defense, destroy baneful magic, cast a love spell, cause adultery, be loved by a superior, a social superior, become invisible to an enemy, to sow discord and hatred. And it goes on and on and on. There are so many spells here that are available to the person who undergoes these practices of initiation and enters into the vampiric chain. Book 2 is referencing the Brotherhood of the Night, and it gives a lot of history and lore associated with different vampiric families that the practitioner is able to align themselves with these forces if they so dare. You can do so astrally, or is advised that you actually travel to these places if you can, and connect with the energies of these vampiric spirits in their own physical domains if possible. Book 3 is the inner teachings of the Green Order. All of the practices that will enable you to become balanced and proficient in the arts of vampirism and all that is included with that. Practice of mental calm, seeking the spirit, observing the spirit in motion, the state of presence, as it is important to live in a state of mindful presence. Stabilizing the state of presence. Additional empowering rituals such as Devourer of the Stars, the Dark One, and the Death of Death. So I have to honestly say that This grimoire is a delight. It provides so much information, and it is absolutely worth every dime that you're going to spend on it if you are interested in this path. I highly encourage you to get yourself a copy. I'll leave the links in the description for you to head on over there and do that. I had some follow-up questions for N.D Blackwood that I tried to gauge that some of you may have. So I asked him, and he gave me his answers, and I'm going to share those with you now. You had mentioned that it is ideal to have a ritual chamber that is reserved exclusively for vampiric rites. You also mentioned that if this is not entirely possible, then a person can set up their ritual in a room in the home that is not used very frequently. Why not in the bedroom specifically? Also, you mentioned that because of the dangerous nature of the sinister rituals, there is a risk of anchoring these vortexes and vampiric entities. And so, that's why it's best to use a room in the home that is unfrequented. My question is, in reality, aren't these anchors and vortexes actually also opening up within the psyche of the practitioner as well? And so these vortexes and these connections with these entities will be a part of the practitioner anyway? If so, then why would it matter which room that these rituals take place in?
The necessity to not build your altar inside your chamber was advanced by my predecessors as a traditional explanation, meaning that it will probably be too intense to sleep at the same place where you open your vortex. Your sleep will probably deteriorate, let's say, at the contact of the energies that you stimulate days after days and night after night, in this case, by working on this altar.
So for the rituals, there is one ritual that it is recommended to use a pig heart, and in another ritual to use pig blood. Is there an alternative for people who are not comfortable with using those things? I feel that for some individuals, like myself included, it might be a distraction and cause a barrier to the quality of the ritual because they aren't comfortable with it, So instead of enhancing the practice, it would likely hinder it. So I'm wondering, how do you feel about people just using their own blood in these cases?
Regarding the substitution of the pig's heart and the blood, in my experience, I never actually saw people doing rituals without it, particularly this type of rituals. In the time where it was basically legal, and in countries where it was legal, some peoples used to sacrifice birds, for example. So I'm not sure people will be more comfortable with sacrificing birds and chickens than stabbing a piece of heart. But as I always say with magic, I advise people to make their own experience.
For the ritual Evocation of the Great Dragon, would it be possible to just use a bowl of water with some drops of one's own blood in it to act as the material support for the manifestation of the dragon?
Or for the evocation of the Great Dragon, and which is also an equivalent to the ritual of the blood prayer that is described in Drogadotin. Both are equivalent and can be used for the period of 9 months. People from the Green Order tend to say that there was a natural substitute to menstrual blood, which was basically simple animal blood that you can find in basically a store, a meat store, mixed with the yellow part of an egg and male semen. And if you mix that, basically a substitute to menstrual blood.
What happens if one is dedicated to this vampiric work and the chain, and then a few years down the road they change their mind?
If you make a pact with the strain, have the strain live inside yourself, it's permanent. If you don't feed the strain, basically the strain will feed upon you and basically do that until you have no more life force inside yourself. So there was even a record of a Romanian nobleman in the beginning of the 20th century, sorry for my English, who fled Romania because is what he called this family curse, and he insisted to the French authorities that he will be basically his body put in pieces and all the traditional stuff of the vampiric law, because he was afraid that after death he will basically join the strain. This is what is described as the path of Moroi in Romania. Moroi being essentially a human sorcerer who uses the abilities of the vampire, the Strigoi, but is not a full-fledged Strigoi. After the death, most of Morois become Strigois because their astral body have taken the habits of drinking blood essence, and once death, they become full-fledged Strigoi. But they still have the ability to stop before dying and renounce and do something else. I don't know what. Something I have to say is that people who use this progressive and evolutive part during their lifetime as a magician never get as much power as people who do the pact with the strain. They don't get the same level of skills, aptitude, and powers.
Do you have any forthcoming rituals, courses, or anything more that you will be sharing with others?
Yes, I have a lot of news coming out this year, and I'm very excited about it. So most of all is that my new and second book, Scholomance, The Order of the Dragon, just came out 1 month ago, and we already had a fantastic group ritual with 35 persons during the night of Saint Andre, which is the night here in Eastern Europe, which is dedicated to the practice of vampirism and the cult of Strigois. The book covers the history of the Order of the Dragon and the orders that follows from the vampiric part of the Golden Dawn to the modern-day Green Order. And every part of the vampiric aspect related to the book of Abramelin the Mage that was used by the Order of the Dragon. It also covers the names of members and rituals to call upon them on their graves, castles, and manors here across Europe. While in the last part, you also can find an inner discipline very similar to Eastern Yoga that you can basically use as a daily discipline during 1 year. Finally, for now, I will be part of the deification magic book, Grimoire, with E.A. Coeding, Adria Vetimus, and MacGregor. I have wrote an essay, which is an experience that I made years ago with 3 fellow magicians, based on the sexual aspect of vampirism and how to basically use sexual magic and vampirism in combination to stimulate yourself and receive a formidable boost in health, attraction, occult ability to explore the dreams of others and basically stimulate them in order to attract them.
Can a vampire from different orders perform some of the rituals that are included in Scholomance to enhance their vampiric practice?
So, yes, I think these questions might be interesting. So, basically, a practitioner from a different order can practice the ritual described in this book, and actually it is made for people from different orders, as the Green Order is actually nearly extinct. But if you want to use the squares of Bromelain, you will have to receive the Dark Gift initiation from and do the preparation period with Dracul and the spirits from this book. If you don't receive it, you will not be able to access it. It's pretty much like Reiki, you know. If you want to give Reiki, you have to pass through the Reiki initiation.
Do you feel that all vampires, even the vampires that are from different orders, are essentially working with the same undead gods and beings that are in the astral realm?
No, not all vampires are working with the same strain. There are very different strains all around the world. What I'm describing is the strain from the Order of the Dragon. There are other strains that I know. There are some strain in the Hebridean Islands, in Scotland, which is a very ancient strain from the Beaker people, I guess, as an origin. The Dragon Covenant describe it a bit. Strains from the Middle East that I don't know a lot of. Michael Fold will probably be more capable of talking about these strains than myself, and I'm not sure they work in the same way. And there are some strains in Latin America.
So I have one more question that I asked N.D Blackwood, and I don't have it on audio, so I'm just going to share it here. The question was, for those on the vampiric path in this modern day, how do you feel the best way to preserve our bodies would be after death? And N.D.'s response was, in the modern world, without hesitation, cryopreservation companies. This also offers the possibility of physical resurrection in the coming century. Thank you so very much for your time. I sincerely look forward to this, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you a lot for listening to all this. I hope it will be useful. And once again, thank you for everything you do and for your collaboration. I really hope that you have enjoyed the book and that the reading was pleasant. Thank you.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed these questions and answers. And if you have any more questions for N.D Blackwood, just leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to get those to him. Now, if you need to pause and take a little break, get a drink or light some incense and a candle, join me for the evocation of the Great Dragon, the Blood Prayer, coming up next. The ritual evocation of the Great Dragon, the Blood Prayer. Sit in front of your altar facing west. Light your candles and incense. Place a sigil of Leviathan in front of you. Dragon's blood may be an appropriate incense. You will also place a large bowl of pork blood upon your altar as an offering. I used my own blood and water instead. The blood will act as a material support for the manifestation of the dragon. As we know, blood carries the very essence of life and has been used since antiquity as a gateway for the appearance of the dead. The sigil is your doorway to the beast Leviathan. The incense smoke provides a physical manifestation base to solidify the astral body of the entity. Relax for as long as needed. Focus on the flame of the black candle in the center of the altar. Meditate on the act you are about to perform. You are going to open a doorway inside yourself for the essence of the great dragon to obtain a form of mental and psychic transformation. While focusing on the candle and without moving the body, move your gaze back. After a little while, you will have the impression that a light fog appears around you, as if a transparent screen has been placed in front of your field of view. Observe the screen while focusing on the breath. The astral plane and the physical plane are mixing before your eyes. You are now in a state that allows all magical operations to manifest. Your mind has entered the frequency between the spirit realms and ours, where the demon will manifest. Let a state of light trance set in now and mix with the euphoria of this ritual. Once you are sure that a stable channel has been opened between you and Leviathan, the link you just created allows you to speak to him directly. He is just behind the other side and listening. When ready, declaim the following incantation. By the powers residing in the island of San Michele, may the primordial waters open for the mighty Leviathan to come to me. Feel his presence behind the sigil, with the demon eager to manifest itself and put its power into action. Using your living imagination and maintaining your connection to Leviathan, it is possible to focus on two things to allow the manifestation to happen. The first option is to focus on the qualities of the demon, that which you know about him. Feel the presence of Leviathan growing in the atmosphere around you. Feel him invade your entire space, getting closer to you. The feeling is becoming denser and more real until you are able to feel with every fiber in your being that he is with you. Speak to him from the heart. Leviathan, primordial dragon, you with whom my ancestors came from the island of Murano to make an eternal pact. I summon thee this night to renew this allegiance. You who devour the uninitiated and scatter their bodies. I call you to me, Lord of the Abyss. Teach me the science of immortality, mastery over the spirit and flesh. Transform me into one of your daughters, so the awakened may feed upon the sleepers. Appear in this temple, Leviathan. Visualize a black smoke rising from the cup of blood. Feel the breath of the animal and the force that emanates therefrom. His gaze is on you. He slowly approaches you. Feel the contact of his skin against yours. Feel the power that emanates from it. Smell the ancient odor of the beast. The energy of Leviathan is coming into contact with yours. Let them merge together. Let your consciousness get lost in Leviathan. Close your eyes. You are sitting on the sand. It is dark and the moon is high in the sky. Feel the cool breeze upon your skin. On the beach around you are many human bones. Some are old and some are new. You hear the lapping of the waves in front of you. Stretches out an immense lagoon with black waters which seem timeless. These waters are primordial, beyond space and time. What year are you in? You cannot tell. You are living in the past, the present, and the future. Sitting in the midst of these bones, you are eternal. Constant in the eternal present, as the cycle of life, death, and rebirth continues. You are a fixed point, free from the illusion of time and death. A song rises from the black waters, calling you. Feel the freshness of the lagoon in contact with your feet, your knees, your waist. Immerse yourself fully in the primordial water and sink into the depth. Visions will reach you then. Accept whatever is in their nature. These can be memories, as memories are very powerful vehicles used by certain entities to enter into contact with you. It can also be other countries, other worlds, and contact with entities of various natures. The black waters are the door to the unconsciousness. To immerse yourself in them is to explore your own depths. Live in the experience fully without trying to rush it. When ready, After taking all the time you need, open your eyes. Take up the cup of blood with your fingers. Anoint each chakra point. Be aware of receiving inside yourself a part of the divine essence of Leviathan, and make a pact of eternity with him. Visualize your chakras radiating a red glow, shrouded in emerald green. I invoke inside myself the power of the great dragon, Leviathan, who reigns beyond the abyss. I welcome your essence inside of me. Transform this body of flesh into an immortal vessel worthy of your powers. From this night and on forever, I am part of you, and you are a part of me.